So good morning, folks. Today is the 1st of February, and it's really cold for a good portion of the U.S. With the snow exiting the southeast today, with some snow along Cape Cod, and just brutally cold temperatures. Right? I mean, single digits for areas really far south. I mean, 34 in Tampa, 39 in Hawaii, 48 in the Bahamas. Even in Cuba in the 50s. So that's very cold, right? I mean, 39 in Hawaii. I mean, Miami. I don't know why I say Hawaii. Got some northern stream flow and a boundary here with snow pushing through. I don't know why it's showing rain there, but that's snow. And some northern stream energy pushing some snow through Tennessee and parts of northern Alabama this morning. So, welcome to my channel. I hope you all doing well today and are recovering from the snowfall if you get impacted by it or enjoyed it. And I appreciate y'all watching. Like my video if you like it, subscribe, share with your friends, and donate in the links in my description below. So let's get started with the current hazards. So as I wake up this morning, most of the winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories have been canceled or expired, with the exception of parts of South Carolina. Still got some winter storm warnings, extreme cold warnings. These will be allowed to expire as well today as the system moves offshore, and some gale warnings and other marine warnings here. Extreme cold warning, cold weather advisory, and I'm sure likely we're going to have cold weather advisories for other areas in the south today. But down in the Florida especially, um, extreme cold warnings, freeze warnings, all kind of stuff here, and extreme cold warning in the Appalachians, cold weather advisories up in the Northeast. And these advisories are likely due to because the climate. They expect temperatures to be colder here. Special weather statement, snow flurries in the area, and points west here, freeze warning all the way down into the south here in Texas, where it hasn't been freezing yet this year. Issued a freeze warning, freeze watch, freeze warnings just out west here, freezing fog. Some flooding going on, and flood watch here, potential for some flooding in the Olympia, the mountains here. Special weather statement with dense fog, some dense fog advisories in the valley here. Looks like some coastal flood advisories as well, but overall, some high winds here, maybe some wind gap events going on. Other than that, you overlay this with a radar. Um, that's the reason for this advisory here. Not a lot going on with the lee side of the lake, so although you're going to have some enhancement here from the lakes as this moves across here. So if it does make it this far to Chicago, we'll see what happens as that moves through. But those are the current hazards right now. So what's going on today in Georgia and surrounding area? We got an extreme cold warning till 1 p.m. today. I wouldn't be surprised we have another some other advisory put in place tonight as well. So, going through the day today, it's going to warm up, but not that much, and the winds will be keeping it cold if you go outside. So try to avoid doing a lot outside today. All right. So this is the 7-day weather outlook. So today, highs 35 to 42 throughout the state, lows 15 to 20 tonight, depending where you're at. Warming up tomorrow, highs 45 to 51. Lows Monday night, lower 20s to upper 20s. Tuesday warming up some, mid 50s to low 60s, which would be a nice welcome return to like somewhat normal temperatures with lows above freezing throughout the state. So that'd be nice. Then for Wednesday, scattered rain showers, not a lot going on. Highs mid 40s to near 60. Lows Wednesday night 24 to 30 between yeah, I can't talk. The mid 20s to mid 30s. Thursday, cooling down some with that cold front coming through, a little push of cooler air. Highs in the low 40s to low 50s. Lows Thursday night between 25 and 29. Friday warming up again. Highs in the 50s, lows in the 30s. And Saturday, mostly sunny with highs near 50 to low 60s and lows in the 20s to mid 30s. So like I said with the forecast, this is just a closer look at this. My cat is getting up here, so hope you all don't mind. Not above freezing today in northeast Georgia, near 40 to in the 40s here in South Georgia with sunny skies today. And then tonight, single digits up in northeast Georgia, low 20s in southern Georgia, partly cloudy to clear skies. And tomorrow, my cat, April, highs reaching near 50 in southern Georgia, to low 40s in northern Georgia with sunny skies. So currently in middle Georgia, this is Houston County where I live. It's 18 degrees outside. The heat has been running all night, right? Um, if the wind wasn't blowing, it definitely would be colder, like field temp, like actual temps, because the wind is blowing at 8 miles per hour, and we had a gust of 26 at 1:30 a.m. Can you imagine the wind chill at that point? It feels like 8 degrees Fahrenheit. So I can imagine how it feels in North Georgia right now. So yikes. So here's the current wind gust forecast for our area. So generally 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts once the sun comes up today. It's going to be blustery and cold. So we need to be mindful of this today, right? I'm trying to go outside and do anything. And the temperatures today, you can see they're going to warm up to maybe freezing or above freezing for most of the state. And then as we go through time, you see they warm up. We kind of talked about that on the forecast, the 2-day forecast, 10-day forecast. I wanted to show you this graphic highlighting certain areas here. So starting off very cold here uh, throughout the whole area. And then tonight, of course, in the Blairsville area, it might get down to single digits again. Well, so what's the 15-day temperature outlook according to the European Ensemble? Well, we're going to be below normal for a few days, and then maybe above normal for highs, but lows will be above normal here, near normal with lows above normal, probably because of cloud cover, things like that. Tuesday, Wednesday. Cold front pushes through, cooling off some, and then maybe getting, looks like above normal here for lows and highs, which would be a nice change for us. But this isn't unusual. I mean, with these broad swings, we don't stay cold for long down here in the south. Although right now it's pretty brutal. We're not really used to this. So staying below normal till next weekend, and then trending above normal, at least according to this model here. So here are the key messages for the prolonged extreme cold issued yesterday, 2:05 p.m. I'm sure they'll update it again today. The cold persists for a few more days and then warm up some. Um, but with repeated shots of cold air, especially in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast and the parts of the Midwest here. So you can stop and read this if you want, but we know what's going on here. It's cold, right? So let's keep that in mind. And this is issued by the CPC a few days ago, Climate Prediction Center. Um, the low temperatures are forecast to be below normal. We talked about this, and the high winds will lead to dangerous wind chills here. Um, So, the long and short of it is, if the experts are talking about it being below normal temperatures, then I'm going to as well, and I'm going to convey this to the public. So, um, let's keep that in mind when thinking about your activities during this period outside. So as far as the day 3 to 7 U.S. hazards outlook, this issued yesterday, hazardous cold on through the for the next couple of days here along the eastern seaboard and into Florida. And the 7th, hazardous cold is expected up here in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and the Midwest. So I wanted to go through this with y'all. I know this is a little bit more in the weeds here, but this is representation of stratospheric polar vortex, valid the 31st, right, which is today, okay, and well, yesterday. And this shows the two different, I know this doesn't fit on the screen that well. That's better. All right, so anyway, 0 degrees and 90 degrees. So this is from the 0 degree perspective right now on the top here, and this is 12 hours out, etc. You see the polar vortex is stretched pretty far to the south here into the northern hemisphere, right? Let's see what happens over time. Retreats back to the north. All right. This is 4th February. And then it stretches out again some, right? And look what happens here towards the end of this. You have a almost looks like two large tornadoes, right? But the polar vortex is totally split right here, which is between 1200 Kelvin and down to the surface, really. So this evolution is kind of interesting, and if we look at it from the perspective of 90 degrees, right? Move this through time again. See how it stretches out, and eventually you're at the end of the run here. right? So he switches back to the 0 degree. See how the bottom of it and the lower part of the atmosphere pushes down to the east here. Pretty interesting evolution here. And maybe another shallow part of the vortex splitting off here. So what does this tell us? It looks like that, you know, where this sets up, we could have potentially very unsettled weather um, and cold weather. And this is around the 11th of February, right? So pretty interesting thing here. I'm still learning some about this, but we talk about the polar vortex and it becoming elongated or split. I don't remember ever seeing this um, on a plot like this before. So I want to show you all this because I thought it was pretty interesting here. This is another way to look at it. The centroid latitude is these dots in the middle. The vortex area percent of northern hemisphere is down here with this 10%, depending on the vertical profile pressure. Of course, 1 HPA is way up there. 150 is close to the surface, right? So anyway, this is a GFS rendering of this, right? Vortex area percent of northern hemisphere, about 10%. See how it splits here, right? But you have two different centroids here. Right? It's just a very interesting evolution of this. Um, even though you have a small percentage of the vortex, you have one here and one here. And you know, the different layers in the atmosphere denote the different colors, right? We saw that on the vertical profile, right? So um, what I'm going to do is also go over the uh, what it would look like at the surface and you know, how that would impact our weather here. So one of the things we look at too, and I've been researching this some, but this is a kind of a neat graphic showing that the tropopause temperature in Kelvin was just another way to measure temperature in the atmosphere. Okay, uh, you see how cold the temperature is, which mean heights are really low here in tropopause, right? Anywhere you have the maybe the blues and the purples is lower, right? White up to the north, another white area moving through here, which signals another disturbance, I guess you would say, right? And this explains why the northeast and this persistent cold keeps pushing through. Yeah, this colder temperatures in the tropopause, and see up here into Canada, the cold air just pooled up there, right? This is 5 February. We have that trough moving through to the east here. And you can see the high pressure generally, right? Let me bring up my pen. Get into the science of this. I know this is kind of painful to look at. Looks like a wave, doesn't it? But this illustrates the trough off the west coast and ridging here, right? And you have this flow going this way, right? Not a great drawing, but you get the idea, okay? So pretty cool here. From a meteorological perspective, right? And I'm not an expert at this. I'm just trying to illustrate it here, guys. You see the northerly flow continuing here, right? Maybe some ridging kind of getting stretched out, which could lead to some warmer temperatures, especially down here. Okay, and eventually, you know, we got this really cold air in the troposphere, tropopause, which is right between the troposphere and the tropopause is right between the troposphere and the stratosphere, right? So if this is lower than you know, the whole atmospheric pressure around it is lower, right? So you got colder air. You know, hard to really put that into words, but it just equates to colder air, right? So um, high pressure spiking out west here, and maybe lower pressures, and it looks like to me like we got this makings of subtropical moisture moving in, right? Let's take a look at this here again. See the evolution of this with the ridging kind of getting stretched out here, but in this really kind of deep trough moving this way. So interesting evolution here through the 7th of February. So this is more to illustrate why we got the cold weather in the east and warm weather out west here. So now that our storm is finally moving out, it's impacted the south today. What's going to happen next? Well, this is an AM 12 kilometer, um, goes out 84 hours, right? And this will lead us into the middle of the week. Got a deep trough on the east coast with the system moving out. So northern stream energy moving through the flow here. And we have a system maybe taking shape here, but never really consolidates, right? And maybe brings some quick hitting snow and showers to the south. Um, some models are hinting a little while back about potential for a system developing here that would be more impactful, but it's not looking like that right now. But let me show you why here. So this is a 500 millibar vorticity map, starting with our system on the east coast. That moves out, right? Northerly flow. We have a mid-level vortex here, mid-level vortex here, mid-level vortex, and associated moisture, maybe from the subtropical jet getting ingested here. But you see how these different disturbances don't phase. You have all these different disturbances in the flow, and up to the north you have this one, right? So none of the energy really is getting together, at least according to this model. And that's, in my mind, why we're not seeing a more coherent or impactful system here. The 540 line is pretty far to the north here as well, at least according to the AM 12 kilometer, right? So now this is the part of the nested package that encompasses the NAM 3 kilometer. 12 kilometer gives you broad strokes. 3 kilometer, I'm going to talk about next and go through that real quickly to give you a little closer. And then we'll go over the global models as well. So this is a NAM 3 kilometer 6Z run, right? Hour 5, which is 8 a.m. It's 7 a.m. now, right? The system is exiting off the North Carolina, South Carolina coast, maybe brushing the Cape Cod area, right? And we have this trough persisting along the eastern seaboard. And heights are building out west a little bit here, right? And you have the hint of this system moving through the central U.S. That may impact the eastern U.S. And you have some, maybe some snow and freezing rain and sleet along where this boundary is, and maybe into the Appalachians and the Great Lakes area here, right? So let's switch to 500 millibars, see what it looks like. So you see our deep trough along the eastern seaboard at 500 millibars. See how it translates eastward here with energy. And Monday, um, northerly flow persists, and you have the 500 millibar heights here, like a mid-level feature. Let's look at 850. Yeah. All right. So this model resolved the features a little bit better because it's a 3 kilometer model, right? But you see what I'm talking about here. There's a lot of energy in the atmosphere, but they don't seem to make connection. Now, we'll see how the 3 kilometer model resolves this a little bit further down the road here. But at least in this, at this point, there's not a lot of coherence here with the different troughs. You have a trough right here, one right here as well, and some associated moisture with it, streaming in from the west here, northern stream energy. If they could possibly combine and move this way, we could get something happening here, but at least with the NAM 12 kilometer and how it resolve it, it doesn't really do much with it. You could almost argue this isn't truly a polar type system because this is kind of coming from the west coast, so it's not the same as this energy coming here, right? So you would say there's some disturbances coming through here, but their origins are different, right? So not as cold air as aloft, right? So um, let's look at the upper air temperatures real quick. We can see that real easily here. You can generally make out with this the upper air temperatures, right? And how cold the upper air temperatures are with the system exiting the east, right? Very cold, right? And then you see how they're warm up here, and you have some upper air temperatures that are a little bit cooler moving through the flow here, and that's our different disturbances, right? But the ones of polar origin, you see this, how deep this is up here, right? So that illustrates pretty well what we're talking about here. Maybe another disturbance moving through the south here as well. So what's the GFS show? Not the GFS, the European, excuse me. This is as of 00Z. Let me see if I have a more recent run. No, still not here. So our system exiting off the East Coast. This is as of 7 a.m. here. All right, so go back a little bit. All right, so system moves off the coast. We have northern stream energy moving through the flow here. Wants to dig this trough, but really not do much with it, like we talked about around the 5th, right? If we look at the upper air, see the different sources of the energy in the atmosphere here. You got like a mid-level vortex here, one to the north, one in the Mississippi Valley, and some moisture streaming in from the Pacific, right? Just really strung out here. The trough doesn't really dig, although you have a semblance of a cold front pushing through here, and maybe some enhancement as it moves offshore, but it kind of shears out. Now, when you get further down in time, you got a pretty potent mid-level vortex move through the flow here, which looks like it may be more polar in nature. And this is the 6th of February. Let's take a look at the surface here again. So so I mean, look at this enhancement of moisture with this system, a clipper type system, right? Going back to 500. So if we switch them to 500 millibars, right through the 5th of February, you may have another deep trough digging along the eastern seaboard towards the end of the period. But this is almost 2 weeks out, so a lot could change. A lot of energy in the atmosphere, though, right? And I discussed the polar vortex and what could be happening here, and this may be an indication of it, right? So let's look at the height anomalies with it real quick. So so you see this height anomalies, 500 millibars at the mid levels. This is very cold air aloft, and if this plays out, we get the potential for a nor'easter here, right? But I don't think I can pull up. This doesn't go that far out, right, with the P-type. So let's look at the precip here. It doesn't go that far out. This is as far as it goes, guys, on these parameters. So just going to take my word for it. All right, so on to the GFS. So what does the Canadian model show? Well, the similar evolution of the systems off the eastern seaboard starting out. So northern stream energy, and wanted to bring that system that we talked about around the middle part of the week this week in parts of the middle part of the country here, the mid-Atlantic. Maybe this has been signaling for quite a few days about potential for heavy snow here, at least a shot of it anyway, in parts of Virginia, Maryland, and then moving out to sea and some rainfall and maybe some icing here in North Carolina. This solution has been the outlier as far as the intensity of this. So kind of tending to discount this solution at this point, but got to keep in mind this is one of the model runs, right? One of the models that people look at. We look at vorticity, a little more coherence here, although you see this mid-level disturbance here and this disturbance back here. Never really gets a coherent. It stays more positively tilted. Doesn't really do much here. And then moves out. Some more northern stream energy moving through the flow here. And if we go back to the P-type, that is like, I mean, I think we're going to have some snowfall here, maybe, and some heavy snow maybe in the Appalachians with this northwest flow event. Northwest flow persists. The energy moving over the Appalachians and the rising air as it goes over the Appalachians triggers that snow, right? So we could have some heavy snow there, guys. So going back to the upper heights, northwest flow, maybe another disturbance moving through the northwest flow here. Go back to the P-type. Not a lot there on the map. Not as strong, right? You have this Baja low that isn't really moving that much and kind of gets sheared out before it can do anything. Maybe some enhancement in the moisture here a little bit, right? And the evolution of the heights here, at least with this model, is kind of a zonal flow. And maybe the return of moisture far to the south here. Let's look at the heights of 500 millibars again. Yeah, I don't know if that solution is really valid. Seems like the outlier to me, but this depicts more of a zonal flow with different disturbances moving through the flow, more of a Pacific type flow, right, than polar. But so not very amplified here. There's some amplification to start with out west, and it kind of evens out, right? So we'll have to see how this plays out, and we got time to watch this, and that's about it for the global model analysis for today. So we got our system along the East Coast, sayonara to it, and all the snowfall, even though some people got skunked and some didn't, but most people saw some snow, even a couple inches, right? And we moved through time with this. It also wants to develop the system along the eastern seaboard. Um, and as we switch up, here we go, right? So if I can get this to move, it'd be good. Uh, hello? All right. Oh, we're at 6Z, that's why. Go back one run. All right, so trough moves off the eastern seaboard, energy diving down the north from the north, and different energies maybe in the southern stream are coming off the Pacific here, right? And you get through the fifth, and that energy pushes through the south, but not doing heck of a lot. You have another trough it wants to bring through the northeast here, and you go to the 6-hour P-type here in thickness, and that's that system moving through there that we talked about, bringing some snow maybe to the northeast and mid-Atlantic and the Appalachians here. Maybe some heavy snow in the Appalachians northwest flow going on there. The model really, we get highly uncertain getting this far out. But one thing that we see here is persistent northwest flow over the northeast U.S., ridging out west, maybe some precip onshore in the northwest here as well. Go back to 500 mil. And this is 10 February, so we're getting far out in time here. Errors are magnified with this extent. I'm just showing this for reference, okay? The GFS really wants to bring a ridge here, a highly amplified pattern here in the middle part of the country, and maybe bring a zonal flow. And this trough that we showed on the European, he wants to bring it further through as well, but further to the north. Um, if this plays out, we kind of tries to consolidate here. So let's see what happens when we look at the P-type if it shows it. Right, kind of a different setup here, right? Let's go through this. 10 February. If the ridging builds out here, you see what's happened here. We get returned to this pattern where um, you have more moisture in the middle part of the country and some weather going on. It's been pretty quiet here lately, right? Um, I don't know if this is going to play out this way because we have a persistent northwest flow pattern in the northeast, and with a cold air in place and snowpack, I just don't know if it's going to warm up this much. I just don't see it, but I'm just showing this for reference. It's highly amplified pattern here, and another cold front maybe pushing through the middle part of the part of February here, right? So, and let's look at the 500 millibar anomaly here as far as temperature goes. Let's see, it doesn't have it on this. Let's just look at the temperature. Anomaly is 850. It doesn't have the 500 for some reason. All right, well, let's just look at the 850 millibar temperatures to start this. Whoa, okay. See how cold it is and why 850 millibar is a good proxy for temperature at the surface, right? Brutally cold out here. And out west, high pressure at the surface. It wants to persist this cold air and maybe swing to the south here, right? And see how it wants to really warm up things, 850 millibars, right? Close to the surface. And then we got that other system moving through out here. Quite a different pattern from what the European is depicting, but either way, we got time to see how this plays out, and we go from there. So as far as temperatures go, I want to go through this. This is the GFS global ensemble as a 6Z. So starting off today, see where the coldest temperatures are, and these are mean temperatures, right? So average, pretty cold, warming up here into Texas, right? This is February 2nd, which is Tuesday, or tomorrow, all right? Warming up in the south some, and then cooling back off. But you see the northeast and parts of the Midwest, looks like the mean temperatures are going to stay below freezing or close to it throughout the extended period here. Maybe some brief warm-ups, but then you see the push of colder air on the 7th. The brutally cold, single digits or below in the northeast with that cold push of air. You see here 0, 9, and to the south, not going to be as cold as it had been, but cold enough, right? Maybe warming up at 50s and 60s in South Texas in the 70s, and out west here, still remaining quite warm with a high pressure being firmly in place here. So for the northeast, I'm sorry to say that and parts of the Midwest, we're going to stay way below average for the foreseeable future here. As far as temperatures, according to the European ensemble, which consists of 50 members, right? Move this through time here. You see generally warming up like the GFS was showing. All right. Staying cold here. And we have intrusions of cold air pushing down to the south some here, according to this, right? Maybe warming up some up here in the northern high plains and Intermountain West. Okay. Warming up into Texas, maybe into the central plains on the east side of the Rockies. They're showing, this is showing maybe a high pressure spiking up here, right? But you see the northeast and the Midwest staying very cold. And when they really push some sub-zero temperatures into the northeast again in mid-Atlantic and parts to the south, but maybe warming up a little bit as you get further out here. See through the 9th, 10th, 11th, maybe warming up briefly here. It looks like we may stay about average or near normal in the south, and maybe approach a normal here in the northeast. But I think we're going to have colder air pooling up here in the north again for the future here. So the only thing we got for hazards in the severe front excessive rainfall is potential for thunderstorms. Let's see, on Tuesday, as a positively tilted trough and associated moisture moves to the north here, but not expecting severe weather at this time, although it's possible a storm could reach severe limits here, but not expecting any widespread severe weather on Tuesday. As far as risk of heavy precip through the day 8 to 14, we're not expecting anything out of the ordinary here, so that's good, right? Risk of heavy snow, nothing on the map as well, no hazards at all, so that's good. Get a break here. Although in the northern part of the country, the northeast, and parts of the Midwest and the mid-Atlantic, you got moderate to slight risk of high winds as systems push through here, and especially the 8th through the 10th in the mid-Atlantic, parts of the Midwest here, and the northeast. High risk of below normal temps 8th through the 10th here in this dark area. Moderate risk surrounding it, 8th through the 11th, and a slight risk of below normal temps generally east of the Mississippi up into parts of the Midwest. So maybe the return of colder than normal temperatures, and also a moderate risk down here in southern Florida on the 8th. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. For the day, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, you know, this is like a rinse and repeat. I can't help it, but this is on the map. Below normal east of the Mississippi to the Midwest, near normal to above in Alaska, now trending below normal in Hawaii, above normal temperatures in Aleutian Island chain. This is February 6th to the 10th. And precip for most of the nation trending below to near normal, with maybe above normal up in the northern tier of the U.S. to the southern tier, and near normal maybe up here in northern New England. Alaska and Hawaii, with the exception of northern Alaska, are trending above to likely above Aleutian Island chain above here, right? So day 8 to 14, hey, you know, gonna stay cold up here in the northeast. Not as much certainty about above normal temps, but still above normal temps look to persist here in the out west and parts of the central U.S. Below to near normal to above in Alaska, near normal in Hawaii, and above Aleutian Island chain. Above normal precip chances are returning to the central U.S., and we kind of highlighted that with the different models, right? We'll see what happens here. Near normal to below precip chances along the eastern seaboard to near normal in southern Florida, and out west near normal to below, depending where you're at. California here. In Alaska, near normal to above, northern part near normal above, southern Alaska to central to northern parts of northern Alaska, and above in Hawaii, and above in the Aleutian Island chain. So week 3 to 4 temperature outlook. So, you know, hate to say it, guys, but they're still predicting leaning below normal temperatures here in the Midwest, part of the Mid-Atlantic, parts of the Northeast. Equal chances of temperatures being above below normal in the rest of the nation, with the exception of the southern, southwestern U.S. Equal to above to below, depending where you're at as far as temperatures go in Alaska. Hawaii trending above, and Aleutian Island chain equal to above as well. Now we talk about precip here. Equal chances for a good portion of the nation, not a lot of certainty one way or the other. maybe above, trending above here in the Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley here, and the northwestern part of the U.S. Equal chances to above in Alaska, above in Hawaii, equal chances in the Aleutian Island chain. So finally, as we move into February, we the polar vortex looks to be pretty active, and what I mean by that, it looks to split. It's sometime in the month of February and bring another shot of cold air further south. How that evolves and how far south it goes and the sensible impacts is up for debate, of course, at this point. All I can do is look at trends, and that's all we're going to do here. We can look at the short term and really determine what's going to happen with more certainty, but more than a week out, it's going to be quite difficult. Anyway, I'll be here to talk about it every day, and hopefully you all get something out of it. And I try to be educational as well sometimes and go through some stuff. I hope it's helpful. Hope you all have a good day, and God bless.